Welcome to the 5 on 5. We are pleased to be joined today by Kerry Tymchuk, Executive Director of the Oregon Historical Society. Kerry, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so you got to talk to us a little bit about your background and your accomplishments leading up to becoming Executive Director of the Oregon Historical Society.
Well, I'm an Oregon native. On my mom's side, I was a fifth-generation Oregonian. They were Curry County pioneers. Grew up in a little town called Reedsport.
Okay.
College and law school at Willamette University in Salem, and then spent about a quarter century in public service, working for a variety of elected officials in Washington, D.C. and here in Oregon, including Bob and Elizabeth Dole, and 12 years as the state director for U.S. Senator Gordon Smith, and then on to the Oregon Historical Society. And
you even had a stint on a popular game show. You got to tell us about that.
A four-time champion on Jeopardy. So.
That is pretty cool. So you know a thing or two about history.
Well, useless trivia, I guess. So
it's put you in a good position. Based on the things that you've done in the past, how has that set you up for success here? Is it really different?
Well, it's given me a broad understanding, I think, of Oregon. Traveling the state for 12 years with Senator Smith, every county, every community in Oregon, getting to know the community leaders and seeing what they're interested in, and telling the Oregon story, the thing we all share in common, that whether we are the great-great-great-grandsons of pioneers, or whether we were Native Americans, or whether we're a Vietnamese immigrant family that moved here last month, we all share in common the fact that we're now Oregonians.
Pretty cool. What's the mission of the Society?
Well, we've been around since 1898 with the mission of preserving, protecting, safeguarding, educating, entertaining folks about all things Oregon history. We do this from our museum in downtown Portland, the museum and world-class research library. We have programs around the state. We have traveling trunks that go to schools around the state, a website that gets 1 million hits a year of people researching, finding things out about Oregon history.
And how long have you been with the organization?
6 years.
6 years. So. Has it been really changing as far as what it's like for people to be able to come and take part in
We've made
a lot
of progress, historical progress the last 6 years, and bringing OHS back to where it should be, which is at the center point of discussions, and as we look at all things Oregon history. One of my favorite quotes from the historian David McCullough is, "History is who we are and why we are the way we are." And I think history gets a bad rap in school. People say, oh, it's just memorizing names and dates and places. And it's so much more than that. It's dramatic, interesting stories of famous people, not famous people, ordinary people, and as we've moved Oregon and our civilization forward.
Well, we've got much more to talk about, including you got to show me some of the things you brought.
Show and tell.
But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are pleased to be joined once again with Kerry Tymchuk, Executive Director of the Oregon Historical Society. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
So you brought us a few things. Show us what you brought.
Well, I like show and tell, let people hold and touch history. And these are some of our most, I think, interesting items. This here, go ahead, and it's very heavy.
This is, I'm allowed to touch it?
You're allowed to touch it. That is a piece of the Willamette meteorite.
Heavy.
The oldest meteorite, or the largest meteorite ever to hit North America.
Wow.
It was 6 feet by 10 feet, weighed 16 tons, 32,000 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And it hit, scientists believe, in present-day Montana in British Columbia, and washed down to Oregon in the Missoula floods that transformed the landscape of the Northwest.
And I'm holding the hunk.
And a fascinating story of how it came to light and who found it, and they tried to steal it from somebody else. It's a great story.
Wow.
What I think is our most iconic item, and people just can't believe they get a chance to hold it like you will.
Oh boy.
This is the branding iron, an end of a branding iron. There would have been a large stick on it, obviously, to put into the coals. And you can see the name on it, U.S. Captain M. Lewis. This is Meriwether Lewis's branding iron that was made for him in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, shortly before he left on the Lewis and Clark expedition. So you're actually holding something that Meriwether Lewis held.
That is pretty impressive. So cool.
And then this is the first draft of the Preamble of the Oregon Constitution.
Online paper.
Online paper. Everybody had very nice penmanship. This was 1857. And this was the Constitution that it banned slavery, but it also banned all African Americans from living in Oregon. Wow. Contained what was called the Exclusion Clause.
Yeah.
And I like to say our job at the Oregon Historical Society, we're not the Chamber of Commerce, we're not the Tourism Bureau. Our job is to tell the truth about history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there were many parts of ugly history in Oregon's past. So one of them being banning all African Americans from living in Oregon. For
those who are interested, is this a government or private organization?
We are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. Many state historical societies are state agencies. We're not. We've always been a nonprofit. The state has always recognized that if it weren't for us, they'd have to do what we were doing. So they've always provided us a little bit of support, but most of it, we depend on the kindness of strangers and donors and philanthropy and businesses and corporate supporters and members. Anyone can be a member of the Oregon Historical Society. You get a card that says you're a card-carrying Oregonian. if you're a member of the Oregon Historical Society.
And I imagine if you come to visit, there's opportunities for you to make
visit
sure
there,
that you can continue your work.
Right, and www.ohs.org is the website. Would encourage anyone traveling to Portland this summer to come see our John F. Kennedy Centennial exhibit.
Okay.
This year is the Kennedy Centennial. He was born 100 years ago, this May 29th. And through the courtesy of a private collector in Portland, we have truly the country's best collection of Kennedy artifacts, documents, amazing one-of-a-kind things that you just will never be able to see anywhere else.
Wow.
And Caroline Kennedy, of course, President Kennedy's daughter, will be visiting us in September. September 19th, we'll visit the exhibit and we'll give a speech in Portland as well. So it really is, it's called High Hopes, the life and legacy of John Kennedy.
And that exhibit continues until?
Continues through early November.
All right. Well, I know we could probably talk until November about everything that is there, but we so appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.